This is TNC movie nights, and I'm in a robe today. It's chilly. It's really cold down here, but still repping merch. Still got it, you know. In the description, merch is down there. But hey, yeah, we watched a movie. It's in the title up there, so you guys know we watched Suicide Squad. And we were, Alex is looking for the title.
I don't see it.
Alex and I talked in the news episode that comes out Wednesday, came out on Wednesday, that talked about some Suicide Squad news. The final cut just happened. They're finished filming and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about some Wonder Woman. And we thought, what was the better one to do for us? And we're already going to be doing a Wonder Woman episode this month because comes out the 25th, so we thought it'd be fun to go back and watch maybe a little less fun of a movie for us that I surprisingly really enjoyed, honestly, watching it this time. I've only seen it the one time I saw it in theaters because I left the movie and I was like, it was okay. And I just remember the first time seeing it, it felt like it was just kind of a Will Smith, Harley Quinn buddy cop movie. And they're just trying to focus on showing her butt as in many frames as they possibly could. Not really wrong, still. But I did find a lot more things I did actually enjoy in the movie. But Alex, go ahead and start it off if you like.
Well, I think that this movie would have been good, except for the fact that it is not. I think that's the big kicker, is like, if it was just good, it could have been good, but it just wasn't. It's just DC, and they suck at making movies, except for a couple of them that have been pretty decent. It just seems so lazy. Everything they do is just so stupid, where you have so many times where you're watching the movie, and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense, or that wasn't necessary. And they just don't care. I jotted this down because I think it's the best way I could describe a vast majority of the DC movies that have flopped. Okay. So this, excluding like Wonder Woman, I liked Shazam, Birds of Prey was pretty solid, but most of the ones that are like, everyone kind of agrees sucked, like the Suicide Squad, Batman vs. Superman, all that kind of stuff. It's a combination of way over exposition for stuff that just does not matter, and then no explanation at all for key points of the movie.
Okay.
Where you're just like, wait, what? How do these guys work? How do these bad guys who have had no introduction, who are now a major part of the next 10 minutes of the movie, I don't even know what the hell is going on. And now just as I'm figuring it out, they're irrelevant again. But we spent 45 minutes introducing every single character, including the one that was on screen for all of 8 minutes before they blew him up. You're just like, okay, I don't need an origin story movie for every single character in here, because this is what it's supposed to be. This is their origin story, and there's like origin stories within the origin story. Mm-hmm. And I get you need to develop characters, but you can do that in ways that aren't just expositional flashbacks. And so it's like they just did flashbacks to spend the entire time just telling us what the characters are instead of showing us what the characters are. And then just kind of threw some stuff in our face and like, what was that? And they go, who cares? It's a movie. You're like,
yeah.
I don't know. I do agree with you on the whole Will Smith and Harley Quinn thing. Like,
yeah.
The Deadshot Harley Quinn thing. Mm-hmm. They are pretty likable in this movie. I think the shooting range sequence is super, super cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think what you just said, though, was kind of my big problem with the movie, and it was Will Smith and Harley Quinn, because it didn't feel like anything other than Will Smith with a little bit of an attitude. So I thought he did fine in the role. I think my problem was I've seen Deadshot in the Arrowverse CW show, and I was blown away with what they did with the character there. He was so anti-everyone, and Deadshot does that a little bit, and he's got his kid, which, fine, they've done that before, but he kind of... I wish they would have done a less exposition, as you said, less intro, and let him be a little bit more of a hard ass for longer, rather than hard ass for the intro, and now they're on the field, and now he's buddy with Rick Flag. I will say, loved that. I loved that chemistry that they finally had 2/3 of the way through the movie. Thought it was honestly really cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed the connection.
And it felt deserved.
Yes.
It was like they earned that. We watched that develop, and so it felt earned. And it wasn't just like, what's his nuts when he was like, I'm not going to lose a second family. It's like, y'all have been here for like 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I do agree. There's a lot of really cheesy or just bad moments. I'll be honest, one of my favorite characters in the whole movie, Diablo. 2 of the worst parts. One, the one you just said, not gonna lose another family, and then the bye, like the little fire bye, like really did not like that either. I thought that was just kind of goofy. Again, I didn't love how, I get it, Harley Quinn is supposed to be kind of a sexualized character because that's what they want to do with the character, whatever. But they really overdid it in this one. I think Harley Quinn and the Emancipation Proclamation, Birds of Prey, they did a lot. I think that was the name of it, right? I don't know.
It's the emancipation of one Harley Quinn. The Emancipation Proclamation is a very different thing.
Very different. Thank you. Awesome. Keeping that in.
Oh my God.
But they really kind of just hit us on the head with it at the point of certain plot points where they keep explaining things. You know, I thought it was good that they did the whole head exploding when the guy was trying to run away. I'm going to see if I can get his name real quick.
That was... I don't remember his name.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure I'll find it in a second through everything I'm looking through. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that, you know, I wish they would have just said it once rather than having like multiple people say it, from Rick Flag to Amanda Waller to Deadshot bringing it up to another just side dude bringing it up, and then we see someone heads explode. They could have just said it once, dude's head explode, and we're like, oh, okay, they're not joking. All right.
And that's funny because it's like, really, you didn't even need to say it at all. You could just have his head explode.
What's his name?
Slipknot. Yes. The deathcore Houdini that they had. But it's totally something that they can bring up and they can say it so that people know.
Yeah.
Or it's something that you can just show, where someone tries to go a little aggro and his head explodes, and the audience and the Suicide Squad members whose heads haven't exploded are all like, "What the hell was that?" And you're like, oh yeah, by the way, don't run and we'll blow up your head. You can say it like before or after, let it kind of, but no, let's just make sure every single character has said this. Let's over exposition everything that is important here. And then by the time it happens, you're like, yeah, I know, you told us. Where it doesn't feel the same. Because it's like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. You said it 6 times through 6 different voices. This is not a surprise to me. And it just kind of takes away from it.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And again, all of this that I'm bringing up at the moment isn't stuff that I thought was terrible. It's a lot more things that they could have just tweaked a little bit, and it would have been really good. Another one in here that I wanted to bring up was Katana. They did so much intro for Harley Quinn, Deadshot, a little bit for Diablo, a little bit for all the other characters, except for pretty much Killer Croc and then Katana. The 2 that I wish we had more than any of the other characters almost, because I feel like those are 2 of the characters that are maybe a little less known for people, or at least the actors. So I was just a little surprised with that we didn't really get more of Katana, maybe because we get that little bitty 10-second scene of her being late because she was fighting the mafia, and then that was kind of it. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more from her.
And that's actually, she has a perfect example of the movie telling and not showing, because they had that sequence for her, and then she's there, and then he just leans over and he's like, the guy she got the sword from killed her husband. And you're like, why are you telling me that?
Yeah.
You're a movie. You're totally cool. You've already established you're totally cool having flashbacks for origin stories for all these characters. That doesn't make the flashback, but instead you have to just have a deadpan. Her husband was killed by the guy she got this sword from. You're like, all right. thank you, I guess.
Thanks for
I guess
taking
I
me out of
don't
the
need to
movie
see
for
that.
4 seconds, real quick.
Right? Like, is this a table read or something? Can we get some visuals in on this? I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like this movie does a lot of stuff that just is very, very annoying because it's very easy not to do it. And it's that conversation we had where it shows its laziness. You can kind of tell that whether it was just a money grab or I don't know, there was no passion in it. It was just like, yeah, let's make a Suicide Squad movie because we have to. All right, we'll check all the boxes. I don't care about the details. We'll just leave it at that. Whereas like the movie we watched last week, A Quiet Place, is a great example of you clearly see the passion.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch the interviews where John Krasinski talks about how passionate he was about this, or how other people talk about how incredibly into it he was. You can see it on the screen. And here you're just like, did anyone give a shit? Because it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
Except, I don't want to say no one, because we've already said, Will Smith and Deadshot, that whole thing, he did pretty well there.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie knocked it out of the park as Harley Quinn. A couple people had some real fun, even little parts. Like I love David Harbour, so seeing him just kind of be in this is a kind of goof, kind of not. I just like him, so seeing him in there was fun.
I personally
It's not
really
all
loved.
bad.
I mean, honestly, I thought Amanda Waller's character was pretty good. It was intense. There were some things that the whole show don't tell, the wiping everything off, and then just, I was like, oh, I saw this movie, but I don't remember that happening. And it was things like that. I was like, wow, and then they even. I wish they would have done it the first time and not more. But the first time they said it, it's like, oh, wow, you're a badass. Or like whatever they say that she is. It's like the first time it was really good. You're like, oh my, she is. And then they do it again with a different character saying the same line. And come on. Mm-hmm. It's stuff like that did kind of.
One mean lady or something like that.
Something, yeah. And it's the little things like that in the movie that did kind of bug me is the scenes that weren't needed or that were just a little too much, like Deadshot walking through the the street, and he looks at the girl clothing in there and looks at it for like 90% too long,
like 6 minutes.
Yeah, that one I didn't care for. Harley Quinn, like her smashing the glass, taking something, whatever, but we're bad guys, like that one. And then at the end with Will Smith, Deadshot literally playing Will Smith, because that's what it was in this scene, was, lady, you're bad. Like, whatever he says at the end of the movie with Enchantress, I really hated that.
Especially when he was talking to his new buddy now, and he's just like, that's your, go handle your woman, like, slap her on the ass, and do, it's just like, how misogynistic can this movie get? Because it seems like you're trying, like, to set the record here.
Yeah. And
I don't know. And that's not his fault. That's the writers.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, there's some other things just too on the nose, like Joker laying in a circle of knives. I'll be honest, though. Here, you go ahead and talk about anything else that you don't care for, because I'd like to segue into the things I did actually enjoy. Because as I said when we started this, I did actually enjoy this more than I did the first time. And I know for the last, how long has it been? 12 minutes, 13 minutes, we've been kind of just bashing this movie, but I do have a lot of good stuff to say. So
okay, I have 2 more things. Well, I guess 3, but one of them super quick.
Okay.
One of them I just wrote, I don't care, because this movie, you're watching stuff, and the stuff you're supposed to care about, they haven't built up enough and they haven't developed enough, so you're just watching it and you're like, oh, I don't care. Who cares? What even was that? I don't care. The 2 big ones, though, is, 1, how many times can you show people very clearly dying and then just be totally fine, not even a scrape? I think there were like 11 helicopters that crashed into this episode, or in this movie, and I think maybe 0 people died. I think Margot Robbie jumped off or was thrown out of like 6 different things from very high up, falling very, very fast. And she was just like, I'm fine. And you're like, I don't think you're fine, though. So many times. You're just like, it's like Fast and the Furious level, get out of here. There's just go. Not a chance. And then the other one is just how much I can't stand Jared Leto as the Joker, or just kind of in general. But his Joker just sucked. And it didn't have to. And it could have been like, I don't know, it just seemed, it's so weird that the Joker seems like the most unnecessary character in this entire movie. And then, you know, if you are going to make him sort of a limited role to develop him, to like bring him in a sequel or something like that, it seems like you could have done something where every time he's on screen, you're like, oh God, he's back. And not just like, Jesus, this douchebag again. And that's what it was for me. It was like every time, it's like, just, you whiny little bitch, just get off the screen. I already don't like this movie, and every time I see you, I like it even less.
Yeah, and for a lot of stuff I saw is there was a lot of edit cuts of his scenes that a lot of his stuff was taken out, so that's probably why it feels so misplaced. I did kind of like the one scene where they were in the club and he was kind of negotiating with the guy. I thought that would have been a really nice kind of individual scene to put in there to show Harley Quinn and him the love that they have kind of stuff. I thought that was an alright scene because you see him kind of being normal and then just flip a switch and it's like he's Joker again. So I did kind of enjoy that a little bit. But yeah, he did feel super unnecessary in the movie, and part of me almost wants to see him in another movie just to know if it really was the poor editing or if he's just a terrible Joker.
That's a fair point.
I want to give him another chance. I really want to, but I think he is bad. But the editing didn't do him kindly. So
no. The best thing he's ever done on any movie screen is just get chopped in half with a freaking axe in American Psycho. Seeing that scene, I was like, that's fitting for Jared Leto on screen. That's all we need to see of him in any sort of aspect. Is just a, hey, Paul! Nothing, that's it. Cool, man. Jared Leto at his prime.
Damn. Not a fan,
No
all
Tim
right.
Allen.
Yeah, I was going to say, no Tim Allen.
I'd rather see him as Joker than Tim Allen as Santa Claus one more freaking time.
Yeah, or just Jared Leto as Joker and ever seeing Tim Allen again. But
every episode devolves into just someone or something that we hate.
Every time. So,
God.
to move in some stuff I did enjoy a lot.
Yes, sorry.
All right, so that's been TNC. Just kidding. All right. I really did like the development for Deadshot. They did him a great job. Getting to see a little bit of Batman in there and some of the intro stuff was really intriguing. I thought that was cool. Seeing the Flash show up, I thought was awesome. As we already mentioned, I really enjoyed Rick Flag in the dynamic between him and Deadshot. I really loved Rick Flag's character. The pacing of the movie I thought was fine itself. The action sequences were pretty cool. I mean, at this point in time, though, in 2019, 2018, wherever this movie came out, do action sequences really usually suck? Not usually anymore. So, I mean, it is a lot of minor things that I did enjoy, but at the end of it, I guess I really just wish they didn't do this whole... I'm really just tired of movies doing this. The good guys are the only thing that can be left to save the world. I wish every single movie... I know it might hurt the plot a little bit, but I wish every single superhero movie or supervillain wasn't, if we don't stop this, it's the end of the world. I wish it was just the bad guy wins. Because it kind of takes it back a scale a little bit and you don't have to go so absurd with everything. Because I thought they really had a great base. But once they did the whole, like every superhero movie at this point, portal opening in the sky and destroying the world or aliens or whatever weird creatures are made, I just kind of tired of that. And I think this movie was doing so well in the movie until they had that flip.
That's a really good point. I think I'm a little less over the end of the world thing, but only when it's done well. Because I think you made a very good point about that. And I think a lot of it comes down to being able to like conceptualize it, because like you said, we see it so many times. So seeing a space portal open up and bad non-human things rush in, you're like, oh yeah, this is a superhero movie. But it doesn't make you feel like there's much at stake, because it's the same thing, and it's all things that you can't relate to. Like everyone in their daily life can relate to just like a space portal opening up. Not that you have to relate to everything realistically in a superhero movie, but I think weirdly enough, the one thing that came to mind when I was thinking of a movie that kind of did that in a good way was Age of Ultron, because they just like lifted a whole city and they were like, we're just going to drop the city. And in your brain, you could be like, oh, damn, I know what earthquakes are. I know what happened to the dinosaurs. This would be really, really bad for not only all the people up there, all the people down here. And then it's like, oh, I get what's on the line here. I know the cause and effect. If they fail, this specific thing will happen, which will cause the end of the world. Not just that the end of the world will happen. I know how the end of the world will happen. And so I think when a movie can really focus on the how, it helps you really like grab onto it, and it makes it worth something, because you're not just like this vague, the world will end. You're like, okay. But it's like, no, we're going to drop a city on the earth and it's going to cause this, and then that's how the world's going to end. You're like, oh, that's bad. I get that.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes it can be done very well, and it definitely can be done well, and I'm sure we'll see it more. I guess after seeing, so slight spoilers for Spider-Man Far From Home if you haven't seen it yet, but that movie, the bad guy just was trying to get tech so he could enhance his own like bad guy doing stuff, and then also just infiltrating the Avengers and stuff like that. So it was such a smaller scale that could amount to more. So that's what I really enjoyed. Of course, at the end of the day, the villain kind of wins for what he does to the Avengers and Spider-Man. And that's why I like the smaller scales so much, because when it comes to a big scale, you know the heroes or the protagonists have to win. Smaller scale, they can lose. Everything's still fine. You're still going to get more movies, but they could lose, and that could be a whole new thing for upcoming movies. So I guess that's where I would like to see more of the DC, Marvel, any sort of expanded universes really try to shorten and just make the problems a lot smaller, because it would make you think things could lose, things can happen.
totally.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, I did have fun with Suicide Squad. There are some fun moments. Character development's decent. The actors are really good in there. What they did with Amanda Waller, I thought was really cool. There's some cheesy stuff in it. There's some really cheesy stuff and a lot of laziness. Like, those are the two problems with this movie. I agree with you. Usually when you say it feels lazy, I'm like, what exactly do you mean? Because I always see it as they try to do less to get the movie done quicker, lazy. But I see this one as they took the easy way out, being lazy. So I do understand what you're saying now at that point. And it just, for a movie that really could have kind of upkicked the DC universe a little quicker, it definitely did fall a bit flat. I think it has like a 31% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it didn't do very well.
That feels fair. I feel like I liked about 3 out of 10 things that they did.
Understandable. I mean, I realistically would probably give it like we don't really do scores and stuff all the time, but I'd say like a 50. Like, I enjoyed it enough.
That's fair.
Yeah, I enjoyed it enough where I'd watch it again, but this wouldn't be a movie I watch like every year, every like 6 months, because I'm like, oh, I just need to see it again. But yeah, this movie came out in 2016.
I don't know if I would ever watch it again.
4 years.
Wow.
Oh, it's been a while.
I don't know if I would ever watch it again on purpose, but I don't hate it so much that I just refuse to watch anything. It's not going to be on any list of movies that like make us angry or worst movies we've ever seen. It's just kind of a bad movie, and who cares? So if it's on, it's just like, oh, all right, there's that movie that I don't care about, but I don't care about. I don't care enough about it to have any crazy negative thoughts.
Yeah.
I haven't invested enough emotion into it to hate it. I just don't care enough. Where like other movies, good or bad, they made me feel something enough to feel strongly about them one way or the other. This one is just like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. Now, anyone who is watching it, go ahead and comment. Let us know. What did you think about Suicide Squad? Are you excited for Suicide Squad 2? Do you think James Gunn could fix the mistakes in Suicide Squad 1? We'll see what 2021 brings with us. We're waiting in August. But yeah, let us know in the comments. Tweet at us, whatever you'd like to do. But Alex, where can the people find us to make it easy for them to tweet and message us?
Well, if they're tweeting us, they can find us on Twitter. If they're Facebooking us, they can find us on Facebook. TikTok, I don't know if they have a message system, but there's that. We're on that. We're on the Instagram, all of them, just TNC Movie Nights. Save yourself the time, though. Just go to thenerdchambers.com. Everything will be there. You can watch us on the YouTube. You can listen to us on the anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. And as we said earlier, merch is also there if you feel like it. You can wear
like
us.
Superman.
These are that's not Superman, but these are our faces. That's a penguin. It's cool stuff. It's very soft. I like it. That's all I got. Anything to say to the people before we sign off?
Christmas next week.
Christmas is next week. I'm Alex. He's Brandon. Haven't done that in a while. Later.